Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about the University of Idaho murders, and I wanted to go with the ex-boyfriend theory. So I was looking online and I found an interview with Kaylee's sister. So Kaylee was one of the victims in the murders. And her sister is putting herself out there and kind of telling some stuff that she knows to the media instead of maybe just letting the cops take over and do their thing. For some reason, she feels the need to tell the media all this stuff, but I'm glad she did because, of course, we're all curious about it. So she said that Kaylee, in the early morning hours of November 13th, she called her boyfriend 6 times between 2:26 a.m. to 2:54 a.m. So that's like 30 minutes about that she's making 6 calls. And the sister said the boyfriend has nothing to do with it. But then what's confusing is I'm hearing that it's not her boyfriend that she called, it was her ex-boyfriend that she called. So my first thought is, why would you call your ex-boyfriend 6 times on the night you get murdered instead of 911? Like, why would you call a boyfriend, or even if it was a boyfriend, why would you call a boyfriend instead of 911? But especially if it's an ex, like, why would she call him? Because I've been looking at her Instagram and she doesn't have any pictures with any boyfriends. And you have to go back to 2019, and then there's a picture of her with a boyfriend that I'm hearing is the ex that she called that night. So it had me thinking that he may have something to do with this, because you decide to call him like an hour, like literally minutes before you get murdered. Something's kind of up with that. So some theories I've heard are that the ex-boyfriend is the one who did the murders, because Kaylee and him broke up recently and she deleted all the pictures of them on Instagram because it was over, And he's jealous because she's, moved on and decided to break up with him, and he doesn't necessarily want to break up and end the relationship. And he's jealous of all the time she spends with these friends, so it would go into him having a reason to murder all of them, as he just hates all of them because they get to have time with someone that he used to spend all the time with. So from what I've heard, there are some theories about why she called him 6 times. The first one is that he was the murderer. He was there. Maybe it was her way of calling him to put his name out there in the investigation. For when the cops look through her phone records, they'll see his name called over and over again. And that's kind of like her pointing the finger, saying, he is the one you need to look at. Put his name in this investigation. So that's one theory. Now, the other theory I thought was pretty interesting, and it is the theory that her ex-boyfriend killed her and her roommates And while he was committing the murders, because they're violent crimes and it takes a lot of physical effort, he drops his phone, and he knows he needs to get his phone before he leaves, because that's like leaving your identity at the crime scene. And that he takes her phone and calls his phone to make it ring so he can find it in the dark or hear it in the house. That way he can grab his phone and leave. So I thought that was a pretty interesting theory, and actually kind of makes more sense than her just calling his number. Now, the other theory could be that he called his number from her phone to try to make it look like, oh, he wasn't there, but she was calling him. You know, why would she call him if he was there? Stuff like that. So, but I do find it interesting that police, they say that they're looking into these phone calls, but they think the murder happened after 3 a.m. So, how interesting that those phone calls were made just a half hour before the murder. And it just makes you think he has something to do with it. Of course, I don't know. I'm just theorizing like everybody else because there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I fully understand that we're not going to know everything because the police have to keep this under their hat. So now the other thing a lot of people are having problems with is that the sister said that the boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, whichever it is 100% innocent. And she said he did not do it. Like, she just come right out and says they stand behind him. So my thoughts are maybe they know he did it, but they're supposed to act like they think he's innocent so that he doesn't, like, kill them, for instance. You know what I mean? Like, if he found out maybe her family thinks he's guilty, he might go after them next. Or it might make him, like, get scared and do something with some evidence he has. So maybe she doesn't really believe he's innocent. She's just saying that to pacify him and keep him calm, like, to where he doesn't, like, do anything to them, or that he doesn't, like, run off to Mexico or something. So that's a thought. But I do think it's kind of odd how I mean, we can't judge the victim's family, but I did see Ethan's family, and they were all torn up over him being murdered. And I just think her sister kind of acts a little numb to it. Maybe that's her coping, mechanism. But I think it's better for the family probably to not talk to the media. Even though we, as true crime, armchair sleuths, we want them to talk to the media. We want to hear more about it. But I really don't think it's good for the investigation. So this is an interesting theory. I actually think it could be the one that has the most evidence that we've seen with it. And it's a shame, like a jealous boyfriend would do something like this, jealous ex-boyfriend. But we've seen it time and time again. And we've seen women do this to men too, where they're just so jealous of a breakup that they can't get over it. So I just thought I would share with you this theory, and I'll see you in the next one.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look as you fade away.